Today is Wednesday. No, it's not. It's Thursday, January 19th, 2023, and it is also day 174 of JavaScript for websites, and it is day one. Nope, it's not. No, hold up. Day 577 for web development. And I think this is like a prime example of like how I learn. So for the past few days, I've just been practicing two things that I learned from Khan Academy a few days ago. So one of them being Mad Libs thing. The first version I did was over here for Mad Libs. This is what I learned in Khan Academy when I continued the like JavaScript for no, it was like interactive websites course. And for me, just because I do it one time doesn't mean I'm going to remember it. So, or like really understand it. So I really have to practice. So this is the first one I did, and then I did another one that looks like this. And then I did another one that looks like this one. I mean, I'm obsessed, by the way. Like, these are so cute. It's more about like, oh, so pretty. Like, look at that. Anyway, and then other thing I learned is like a clickable card that initializes audio. So like when you click on it, there should be audio. So this is what that one looks like. And then I did a few other versions which kind of look very similar. I just wanted to practice, to really understand and to really just kind of like play around with it. So then this is, I think, a perfect example of like how I learn. Because today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Mad Libs, but I'm not going to do Mad Libs. I'm just going to take the basis of what I learned from that, which is like working with forms and outputting them those values in a different format with JavaScript, and just that what I learned from that I'm going to apply it, but in a completely different case scenario. So it's not going to be Mad Libs game. It's going to be like a school thing. So like, like the people in the main office at a school, they always have to like, let's say, insert new students. And so my thinking is I'm going to create a form that has options to insert information for students, and then I'm going to output like a summary once that person clicks enter. So we'll see if I can get that done. Um, so yeah, so let me just get started. I'll start with doctype HTML, which is basically saying, hey computer, I'm writing in HTML5. It's just talking about, the version that you're writing. Then you're saying with these tags, hey, this is where my HTML code is going to begin, and then this one, this is where my HTML code is going to end. And then whatever you want to write in HTML has to go in between. And then just like a person, every person has a head and every person has a body. So we're going to put in our head tags and our bodies. And just like a person, nobody knows what a person is thinking inside their head, but they do see what that person has on their body. So, similarly in JavaScript, nobody actually sees what's going on in the head tags, but people do see what goes inside the body tags, because inside the body tags is whatever. Well, let me rephrase. Whatever you put inside the body tags is what you're going to see on your screen, and whatever you put inside the head tags is something that just works towards like the functionality of the website. Like it's like what kind of like what encoding language are you using, or what's the title of your tab, and like what how do you want the size of the screen to adapt in different devices. So those are things that you just tell um the HTML how to work, right? So your head tell it's kind of like how your head tells, like your brain tells your body how to work. Like nobody sees that information, but it is happening. So inside the body tags, we're gonna start with like a div. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I will. No, will I? Yes, I will. Okay. Div, I'll actually just do starting div, closing div. And so div, you can think of it as a box, right? And then I'll actually give it a class of box, and I'm going to go into CSS. Now, the reason we give classes is so that we can actually access these elements, which actually we don't even need. If I just did, whoa, hold up. If I just did div, I could actually give it a border of 5 pixels in thickness, solid in style, and black in color versus like dotted in style, then it would be a dotted line. Um, it would work, but most of the time you're just going to have more than one div, and so that's why you want to give them specific classes or IDs, whatever is your preference, so that you can access those boxes individually, right? So same thing. But because we're going to have more, actually, will I have more divs? Probably not. Actually, no, yeah, I don't know. Um, that's why I'm using classes. I use classes anyway. So it's a way to access elements and then style them because that's what CSS is. It is a styling language. And this is a property, and then these are values. So you're saying, okay, every element has properties that you can access, and then you can give them values. So the border property of the box can be set to 5 pixels in thickness, solid in style, and black in color. And that's what you see here. But you'll notice that it's not quite a box, it looks more like a line, and that's because it doesn't have a height or a width yet. So I'm going to do height 700 pixels and width 700 pixels. And this is what it's looking like so far. Let me go and open it up in debug mode because I feel like that's the true full page view. All right. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Now, before I do anything else, I just want to do some housekeeping work. So I like to use select everything, like um well, I'll use the star selector, right? That basically selects everything in your page and it applies those styles to everything. So if you have like another div and then another div and another div, it's just going to apply those same styles to everything. So what I like to do is I like to set the margin to 0 and padding to 0. And that's because I'll explain what those are in a moment, but that's because uh your some browsers just have like their own default margin and padding, and I don't want that. I want to start from completely from scratch, so that's why I set it to 0. Now, I'll actually just Google an image of the box model in CSS. So this is what no, maybe this. Okay. So you can think of like this, which one, the box is like the green box that contains the words Geeks for Geeks, right? And so that's your box. And so in the box you have, actually no, hold up. No, the box is the white box. Yeah. The white, of course. The box, so for me, this box, where is it? I can't even see it. This is the box, right? This is the white box, right? The one that says padding property, and it has a height and a width. And it can have content inside, which can be considered its like own box. But when you're applying padding, it's just putting more space around the content inside. So if I have something like geeks for geeks, it'll be inside that box now. Whoops. Okay, right? Um, yeah, so it'll be inside the box, and when you basically set some padding to that box, I'll say like padding 50 pixels, it's just going to put it around that Geeks for Geeks, right? But if you set margin is a space around the box. So if I do 50 pixels, it's actually going to go away from the screen. So you'll see that there's now 50 pixels on the left, 50 pixels at the top, and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. So margin is just affects what's like on the outside. I feel like this is such a better example. I feel like this is the one I used when I was learning, I think I remember. So it looks familiar. Anyway, um yeah, so the yellow box, it's much easier. The yellow box is your actual box, and then you have your border, you have your height and your width. Then the blue box is the actual content, like whatever you have inside the box, even if you don't have anything. And then padding is what you add, right, around the content inside your box, and then margin is whatever's outside your box, the space around your box. So yeah, it's kind of the idea. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's why when I set the margin and padding to 0, you'll notice that it just goes all the way right to the edge of the screen because now there's not going to be any margin. There's not going to be any space around the boxes, and there's also not going to be any space inside the box, right? Which is padding and then whatnot. So that's kind of that. And then the last property is box sizing, order box. And this, honestly, I need to study it more, but like it really just helps with making the site more responsive. And it really actually, how do you call it? Prevents a lot of issues. So just have that there. But even I don't know too much about it. Like I don't know. I should just look into it one day. But yeah, if someone could come up with a great explanation for that, that would be great. Because I want to know exactly how it works. Like I know that it's useful. Like I know that there's problems like I know certain problems that I can fix by using this property, but I don't really like understand how it works like visually, you know? So It would be great to have an explanation for that, but girl doesn't. Anyway, next thing you want to do is center it. So in the middle of the screen, right? So you want it to be in the center. So, okay, if I want to center the box, right? I understand that the box is inside the body tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the body tag, and because there's only ever going to be one body tag, I just like to do body, and this is just for an example. Usually people do containers, but whatever. So I'm going to select the body tag, and I'm just going to give it a display of flex. So, what does this do? It's basically just declaring that your body is now a Flex container. It's not telling it to do anything, it's just declaring that it's a Flex container. I like to think of it as like back in the day, a queen or a king, they just declared somebody a knight. Like they said, okay, you're a knight. Like I pronounce you to be a knight or whatever. But what does that mean? Like you didn't do any actual actions, like that knight didn't do any actions. You're just declaring that that person is a knight. Same thing in web development, you're just declaring that this body is a Flex container. Now, where does the action come from? In this case, the actions come from these properties: justify content, center. You can think of them as powers. So, like, once the queen or king declares someone a knight, now that knight has certain privileges and powers that normal civilians did not have, right? So now, similarly in web development, if you declare something to be a Flex container, now that element or that something, right, which is the body tag, now it has powers that other elements can't have. So in this case, it would be justify content center. This wouldn't work if it wasn't a Flex container, right? So that's kind of my thinking. So yeah, this just justifies the content inside the body tag. Whoa. Towards the center horizontally, and then align item center justify no, it just moves the content vertically, so it centers it vertically. But you'll notice that it actually didn't do anything, and that's because it actually did do something. If we give a border to the body, I mean, our goal is to have the body be not the body, the box be at the center of the page. But notice if we give a border to the body, I'll actually change the color so you can to red. The body is the red box, right? It obviously, the height of the body is not the full page. And we're basically telling, hey, I want the content, which is the black box, inside of you to be centered both horizontally and vertically. And it is centered horizontally. And it also is centered vertically because for um for the body, I mean that box is already centered vertically because it's filling up the vertical height of the screen. So to fix this, if we want to actually have the box in the center of the full screen, well then our body also has to have the same height as the full screen, right? So we just do height 100 VH. VH is just honestly a random number. Sometimes 80 VH works too. I mean, let me try that. I mean, I've seen sometimes that, no, yeah, no. For responsiveness, I've used 80 VH sometimes, or maybe it's because I was zoomed in. I don't know. Well, whatever. 100 VH works. It's 100 vertical height of the screen. That's what it means. Anyway, so now we have it centered, right? Um, so yeah, what was I gonna do again? I literally forgot. I'm like, okay. Student stuff. Well, I don't have a design plan, so we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna just like think about it as we do it. Okay, so I need a form. Okay, so I need a form. So I'll go into the div. I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna put a form tag. And then a form is just made up of other tags. So every form has a label and then an input. Oops. Let me actually put the label and tag. So you'll notice that the input doesn't have a closing tag, and that's because the input actually has no content. So there are things called every day. I forget what these things are called. So no. Unclose. Okay, I literally searched this up like yesterday. Um, what do yeah, empty, yeah. These are called empty or void tags because there's actually nothing going inside. Like there's no content going inside versus like a div, right, is a closing tag because there's stuff inside. But for an input tag, there's nothing inside. It's just attributes. So it's like you can say, okay, this is a type text Right. And then if I save this, you'll be able to see that now there's an input little box that you can actually click and write inside. And so that's a typed text. Um, so there's no actual content inside. And then the label is actually what it's called. So I'm just gonna say like input just to give you an example. So that's what it looks like, right? Um, so yeah, so for me, I'm gonna say, because it's gonna be like a student name thing, I'm gonna say first name. Can I not spell? If there's one thing about me to know is that I cannot spell to save my life. All right. Or I guess type. There's a difference. Last name. All right, and that's what it's looking like, right? So then we'll do, I mean, let's see what I want to do. I mean, I could do age too, right? That's what something you would do for a student. So age. Um, so you have age. What else do we need for a student? I guess their phone number, their address. Um, I mean, no. I mean, okay, maybe something else. I could do label input. What else do we want to know? I mean, I don't really want to do too much. I guess we could do phone number. Let's just do phone number like of parent, I guess, because I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do have a phone number. All right, so we'll have that. Is there a type input type? Oh my God. Phone number? Ooh, tell. Never seen that before. Nice. Okay, so we'll do input type tell. Um, yep. Let's do that then. Tell. Wait, was it? Oh, it was one. Oh, okay. Save that, reload. This is what we're looking at. And this is nice because, oops, why am I doing slashes? So you could type whatever you wanted to hear. Um, okay. So I guess that's it. We're just gonna keep it simple. And yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to give these inputs IDs so that I'm able to access them later in JavaScript. So I'm gonna do ID because I can't just do like label, I mean, sorry, input, because then it's not gonna know which input I'm talking about. So this is going to be I'm gonna say F name. Is gonna be last name. By the way, what's the difference between a class and ID? IDs are individual to the elements. If you could actually use classes multiple times on different elements. So I can give the um, div a class of box, but I could also give the form class of box. And whatever styles I have for the box over here are going to be applied both for the div and the form. But I can't do ID F first name to this input and then give it ID first name to this input because it's like a person, like everybody has their own IDs, like they're not the same, right? So IDs are usually used to access certain elements, like specific elements, and you can't repeat IDs. All right, so that's last name, and then this one's going to be H, and then this one's going to be, I'm gonna say phone. um and yeah, it's not really gonna do anything visually. Um, okay, what else to do now? I'm gonna do the design because design makes me happy and it's motivation to keep going. So, I use colors, literally like the only thing I ever use. I explore palettes. Let's see what we can do today. Um, I mean, I mean, usually, wouldn't like a school thing be professional? So I can't use like nice. Okay, let's do these. These are giving like lawyer colors. We'll do that. Actually, I don't know. These look so good together. Actually, I'm thinking maybe that, oh, you know what? I'm gonna take this one. Where's my stuff? Okay, here's a code. So I'm gonna make the background that like brown color, and the background in this case is the body. So I'm just gonna do, let me zoom in. This is why I was zoomed in. I wish it didn't zoom in the actual result because you can't see it. That's why I have a whole thing open. All right. And then for the card, by the way, I just did box so people would understand. I'm gonna change that to card now. There we go. So for the card, I'm gonna use this nice like color. It's reminding me of like condensed milk, sweet condensed milk. All right, so this is what it's looking like. It's giving lawyer. Okay. Um, all right. So next thing would be to work with the forms and make them pretty, all right? So what I would do is, first of all, I would want to center them. So I'm just going to copy this center stuff and just put it into the card, and that's just going to center everything. So no need, right? But then you'll notice, wait, but they're still in the same line. They're just centered in the box. To fix that, you just actually have to access the form, right? Because the actual inputs are inside the form tag, if you remember, and then just center it that way. Align items, center, justify content center, and then you'll still notice though that now they're still in the same line, just in a little bit prettier form, but I don't want them to be in the same line. I want them to be in the column. So you can actually change the flex direction to be column so that the flex items, right? So anything inside a flex container automatically becomes a flex item. They just become they're in the column now instead of a row. By default, it's row. All right. And then I don't like that it's these are aligned. So what I could do is I could just delete justify content center. And by the way, they flip. So when you flip, hold up, I meant the align items. There we go. When you flip the axes, when you're flipping the direction, the justify content center actually centers things vertically now, and then align item center actually centers things horizontally. So they literally flip because when you're flipping the direction, you're flipping the axes. It's a whole thing. Like there's a visual for it. I wish we could actually see the axes, but I guess not. All right. And then there's one more thing I want to add to the form, and that's like a button. So I usually use the button tag, but like now, so I'm gonna do input, I'm gonna say type equals submit. I don't know what's best practice to put in like an actual button tag or to put an input that's type submit, you know? What is the best practice? And then in the form, you could also do gap. That's only, again, if it's a display flex. And you can say 1 EM, which is the equivalent to 16 pixels. It's just so you don't have to, write so much. And I would actually go and select the input tags and give it a width of, I don't know, 80 pixels. Did I say width? I meant height. Let's do 60 pixels because I know it's a lot. That's gross. Okay. How about we do 40? Much better. All right, so this is the thing. So first name, last name, age, whatever. But you'll notice that if I write like, for example, my last name, it's very close to the actual edge of the input. I don't want that. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to say padding left. So again, remember padding is the space inside. So I want to create space on the left so that the stuff moves to the right, like my text moves to the right. So I'm just going to say like, I don't know, 1 EM, or maybe that's too much. We'll see. Maybe it's 5 pixels I should do. See, so now we'll see that it's not close to the edge and there's literally 16 pixels of space on the left, from the left of my last name. And I don't know, do I want to make my font size bigger? That's another thing we can do. So I can say font size. I just don't know what the default is. Font size. Whoops. Maybe that's what it was. Okay. Anyway, submit is acting really weird because why isn't it in the middle? Give me 1 second. If I do, let me give this an ID of button. So now I can, this is a perfect example. If I want to access an ID, I do hashtag button and then do what I want. Where did these things come from? Let me know. Well, that didn't change anything. That's great. Maybe it's because the width of the button isn't what it is or what it should be. That's weird. What if I do text align center. No. Well, we could do a little quick hack and I could just do padding from the right 20 pixels. There we go. Yep, that's really, I mean, don't do this. I'm sure there's a bug somewhere, but like this is just a hack and it's not very like don't do it, okay? Instead of 20 pixels, how about 16, 17? Is that centered? We're gonna go with that. Okay. Um, what else was I going to do? Okay, so first name, last name, age, phone number. Did I just okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the card. I'm gonna give it a border radius just to make the corners a little bit rounder. And I'm going to get rid of the border. So now we have that. And we have, I think we're done. Yeah, we're done with the front. And we're gonna come back to the fonts and everything, but let me start with the JavaScript. So in JavaScript, I like to start with what I want, and then I like to then get what I need for what I want. So what I want is a function that lets me click on the card. So I'm gonna call it on card, oops, uncard click, by the way. In JavaScript, people use camel case, meaning every new word is just a capital letter and there's no spaces, right? In Python, you would usually be like on card click with underscores, whatever, but yeah. On card click, and then the easy way is to do equal to function and then that, and then you would write what you want your function to do. But because I like to save time, I just do this because this is the equivalent to what I just wrote. And that's it. It's very simple, simple, very same thing. It's the same thing. Okay. So what I want to happen when I click on this card is that I want a new thing to show up. And that's going to just say, I don't know what I wanted to say. I didn't plan this. Student recorded or student insorted. What? Data? No. New student. No. Student registered. Oh, perfect. Student registered. But in order to do that, I could create a new element with JavaScript, or I could just make my life easier and do it here and just have it not appear. So for the card, I'll get out of the form and then just do a new div. Let's see, we do have two divs. I'm gonna give it an ID of confirmation. Um, message. It's okay. Okay. Confirmation message is gonna have nothing in here, so you won't see it actually in here. Um, but in JavaScript, I'm actually going to access that. So the way, well, first of all, I'm gonna say, okay, confirmation method. I'm gonna say I want to access the content. So I'm gonna say text content, and I'm going to set it equal to student registered, student registered, and then I want to output kind of like, oh, well, maybe I don't know. What do I want to do? I could just say student registered and be done with it, but my plan was to just kind of do like a simple like list. Well, then that would require more work, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. Um, well, anyway, that's what I want. But what I need is the actual confirmation message, so I need to access that before. So I'm going to create a variable, call it that, set it equal to document dot get element. I'll explain this in a second. By ID, and then that's the ID. So the idea is JavaScript, right, is an object-oriented programming language. What does that mean? It just means that it works with objects, okay? That's like the syntax. It just works with objects. And in HTML, HTML is a hypertext markup language. It's not a programming language. And so its elements are not objects, right? So how in the world are you going to work with your elements in JavaScript? And the answer to that is something called the DOM, the document object model, which is basically, I like to think of it as the browser's copy of your HTML page, but instead of elements, it just converts those elements into objects. Do I know how? No, not really. I haven't studied it that much. But I just know that the DOM, I like to think of it at least, um, as a copy, literally a copy of your HTML page, but with the elements such as like head tag or the body tags just converted into objects in which JavaScript can work with, right? So you get the document. That's how you access the DOM in JS, and then you use elements. I can never spell. Then you use these functions, which is get element by ID or query selector or get elements by class name or get elements by tag names. But I just like to do element by ID because it's so simple, right? And these are just examples. So get element by ID is the easiest one because you can just actually get it and not do that much work and just literally put the ID of the element, right? And it's just going to take it and set it equal to a variable that you can access in JavaScript, which is this one, right? So that's the idea. Um, yeah, so the next thing you need to actually do, let me save this, reload. If I click on the button, nothing happens, right? Um, oh, did I say on card click? I'm sorry, I meant on button click. I've been thinking of the audio stuff I've been doing. Okay. So when I click on the button, nothing happens. And that's because I only wrote the function of like what I want to happen, but I haven't told the button like anything about this. Like I just like it's kind of like me writing in my diary, like, oh, I want this to happen, but then I don't talk to like anyone or I don't do anything about it. Like, does that make sense? That's a horrible example. Anyway, um, like you have to tell the button, like, hey, this is what I want you to do, you know? Like communication. Like that's what works in a relationship, you know what I mean? So it's like you need to access the button, right? And we don't have the button. So we have to do the same thing again. We have to access it. We have to take it from the doc. So var button document. That's why we get things IDs, guys. Document get element by ID. And we could say button because I know that in HTML, my button literally has an ID of button. Right, so that's what we're accessing. And then I could say, okay, well, for the button, I'm going to add an event listener. So I'm just basically saying, okay, honey, when you are clicked on, I want you to listen for when I want you to listen, right? For when you are clicked on. And when you are clicked on, I want you to call this function on button click. Let me say that, reload. So if I just put in my information, um, and submit, it doesn't work. Why? Let's see. Confirmation message, text content, student registered. Confirmation message, get blah, 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 confirmation message, div ID, blah, 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 confirmation message, text content, get element by ID, confirmation message. Why doesn't it work? Huh? That's weird. Okay, let's figure it out. All right, so I'm taking the message and I'm saying text content, I'm setting it to something. Var button document dot get. Oh, it's because I spelled element wrong again. Of course I did. Okay. Reload. Let's do this one more time for the 5,000th time. Um, there we go. Student registered. Okay, that's horrible. So it appears on the side, which is like absolutely horrendous. So what we need to do is to make sure it appears at the bottom. And to do that, that means we have the reason this is happening is because remember the card has a display of flex, and the flex direction is row. So everything inside the card, which includes the form and this confirmation message, are next to each other. So we just have to go to the card and give it a flex direction of columns so that they're on top of one another. So now you'll see that there. I have no idea why it keeps, what? Why does it keep reloading? Whatever. Anyway, you would also want to do like a gap, I don't know, 1 EM. Why does it keep reloading? Tell me. Tell me why. Okay. Um, that's weird. Oh, the values, that's why. Okay. Um, confirmation message, no, has nothing to do with the values. Okay. I want to not just have a student registered message, but I also want a little summary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list. So this is going to get a little complicated. Not that much though. Not that much. Um, you know what? You know what? Maybe I could just do it here. I'm just gonna do it here. So I'm gonna do list item. I'm sorry, not list item. I'm gonna say ordered list or unordered list. Unordered list. So a UL, and then a UL again, and then every unordered list, which means it literally is bullet points, it's not numbered. Then you just have a list item, which can be something like hello, helco, whatever, because I cannot spell. Um, and we'll do name. Actually, no, I'll just leave it like that. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. I'm gonna just do a few of these. So I'll leave these like that, and I'll say first name message, I guess. Because I don't want to be creating these in JavaScript. That's so annoying. Last name message will do. This one is age message. Look at me using Python syntax and JavaScript. ID is equal. I already messed up. Okay. Phone message. Yeah, this is bothering me. This is not Python. Let's use camel case. Okay. I accidentally deleted the OI here. Okay. Um, yep, that's kind of it. So you'll see there's bullet points. You don't see anything in there because there's literally no content in there, but when you put it in, you'll see it there. Okay, but we don't want that right now. We'll add that later. So, over here, now I'm gonna have to access all of these IDs, which is kind of annoying, but we'll figure it out. So just gonna copy this 5,000 times and just change the stuff. So for example, the first name, just gonna give it the same name, first name, message, last name, message, age name, message, phone number, number message. And then not only that, but then I also have to access all of these IDs as well because I'm going to use those values and I'm going to insert them into these messages here. So, once more, let me copy this 5,000 times. So this one is first name, last name, age, age, and then, oh no, that's the wrong thing. Where is it? Phone number. Okay, that's it. And we're gonna do dot value because we don't want the actual object. We want the value of that input. And we also don't want we don't want the our function to access them before or like right when the page starts because JavaScript, remember, it's doing everything in order. So it's first getting the confirmation message, and then it's getting the button, and then it's getting all these values, and then finally it's getting these values. But if we want to actually use the values, like the stuff that we input, then we can't just get these. We can't put these out here because what it's doing, it's getting the value when at the start of the page, and at the start of the page, there's nothing, there's no values, there's nothing. So you want to have these actually be inside the function, right? And because you know that when they're inside the function only runs when the button is clicked, and when the button is clicked means suggests that you already have values, like you have things in here, right? And then it'll actually get those things or those names and those last names after you click the button, right? So, okay, so not only do you get a confirmation message that says student registered, but you should also get, where's my HTML? a little list summary of the stuff. So what I'll do right now, I'm gonna give this a class of like list, and I'm just going to do dot list, and I'm going to set list style set to none so that the bullet points go away. Because who likes bullet points? You know, not me. I mean, at least in WebDev. I mean, at least in websites. You know what? Whatever. Okay. Um, what was I doing? I literally forget everything I'm doing. Okay, let's think. Let's think for a second. What's our next step? We want to change the text content of these little IDs. So I'm going to access the first name message. I'm going to say text content. Interesting though, wait, but it's not. Actually, yeah, it is. Okay, so text content, set that equal to name. And then I'm going to insert the literal first name, which is this variable over here, right? Let's see how that works. Oh, I need to, what? Really? Frame, first name, message.text content, list item, first name, name plus first name. Student registered, first name.text content, name, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is so annoying. Let's just do last name, age, phone number. This is going to be, actually, we could just do first name plus a space and then do last name. We don't need this. And then the age can just be the age, and then this one can just be the phone number. We're going to say phone number, and then this one is the age of the student. And of course, it's not even going to work. That's so weird. That's so, so weird. It's inside the confirmation message, and the text content isn't changing. What if I do inner HTML? It's still not working. Oh, okay. We love that. What if I put these? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why is the phone number like that? Need a thing like that. Confirmation message. Unordered list. List. And it's literally not changing the content. And I'm getting the value of it. So the first name has an ID of F name, and I'm accessing that value. And then for the first name message, I'm changing the text content, set that equal to name plus the first name, and then also plus the last name. Why are these two different colors? That means I did something wrong. L name. There we go. Either way, I'm sure it's not gonna work still. Yeah, no. Oh, that's so weird. What if I just do like a button tag instead? See, that still doesn't work. But at least it doesn't reload, so we're gonna keep that. But then because of that, now I have to actually access the button and give it some nice height and stuff. So height, why do I need to give it a height? I usually don't. Oh, it's because it doesn't have anything inside. So submit. There we go. So now I'll just actually do padding 1 em, 2 em. So top and bottom, left and right. 1 em for top and bottom, 2 em for left and right. And then, no, yeah, that's literally it. Okay. At least now, if I click on it, it'll just stay and it won't reload, so I fixed that problem. But then the list is not showing up. But I have them here though, so that's weird. So it's definitely my JavaScript that's wrong. I'm trying to figure out why. Maybe we should just create. Okay, you know what? Instead of all this, I guess, let me comment this out real quick. Just try to get my life together. So if I go ahead and instead of doing all this, I'll just create new elements in here. So I don't need these anymore. I'll actually just say, okay, confirmation message, student registered. And then I'll have to do document dot create element, and then I'll have to do a UL. And then I have to add it to the body. This is so annoying. So variable list equal to that. So I'm gonna say, okay, now document dot body dot append child. But I don't want to append it to the body. I want to append it to the confirmation message. So I'll do confirmation message dot append child. And we're going to do list because it is a variable. Hopefully I spelled that right. All right, so then there's nothing in there, so I'm going to have to do another thing, which is a list item, set that equal to document dot create element li. And then we're gonna have to append that, but I don't want to append it to the confirmation message. I want to append it into the list, right? The unordered list. So I'm gonna say list dot append. It's literally what I have. Literally what I'm doing here is just this. That's why I didn't want to do it in JavaScript because it takes so long for what. So append child. What are we appending? List item. There we go. So it works. And then now instead of list item, I'm just gonna say list item one. And I'm gonna say, okay, list item one dot text content. Set that equal to, right, the first thing that I wanted it to be equal to over here. We're just going to go ahead and delete that, and I'm actually going to get rid of this. And reload. Okay, there we go. So now it works. But then the values don't work now. That's just great, isn't it? Oh my god. Okay. So first name. Why don't they work? That's so weird. Oh, duh, because I didn't put anything in there. Sorry, come on. There we go. See? Works. I don't know why it didn't work for the last time when I did an HTML. Well, that's one thing. All right, so I'm gonna have to do this for every list item. So I'm gonna go ahead and this is list item one. So now we're gonna do leave through more. So this is gonna be list item two, list item three. Oh yeah, three, and this is gonna be list item blah blah blah. I'm gonna change this to list item two, change this one to list item three, And then it's just going to be different. This is just going to be the age. And then the last one's going to be the phone number. Get rid of this. Save that, reload. So if I put Sarai, month in, 19th, I mean, we could be 189, yeah. And submit. Now it doesn't work. Ain't that great? That's amazing. Okay, let's see. Oh, I have a comment. Okay, save that, reload again 35,000 times. Okay. Well, that's still horrible. Let me see. Where did I go wrong? Yep. I have to edit that. Forgot to do that. List item 3, dot text content. Do that again for the 5,000 billion time. Submit. There we go. Finally. It took 5 hours, but we got it done. All right. So student registered, and whatnot. Okay. Now let's go to Google Fonts and try to get a nice font for this. Get rid of that. Okay. Save student registered. Ooh, this one. All right. Let's go and add 400. Okay. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go to my head tag. So this is a perfect use case for head tag. You put your links, right? It's kind of like saying this is the actual CSS rule, right? This is what you're going to see in the body, which is on the screen. Where's my stuff? I'm just going to put it so that it applies to everything. You'll see the font change like that. You'll see the font change, right? So what I did was I made sure that this font applied to literally everything, every single element, whatever. But how does it know? How does it know where this font is coming from, right? And that is because it gets it from the head tag, which has a link to the font from Google Fonts, right? So it's kind of a similar example, like nobody knows what's going on in your head tag, but it's like you have information that is useful for your body. So like you have the information on how to walk, you have the information on how to talk. You also have the information of where to get of where you got this certain font from, if that makes sense. Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of the idea. And I need it to be bigger though. So maybe we could do, let's say font size 20 pixels. And I might just go down a bit on the form gap. Instead of 1 EM, let's do 10 pixels, right? All right, and then this is mad ugly. So what we need to do is need to get rid of, oh, you know what? This is perfect. Another perfect thing we could do. I have a thing called lit. Actually, no, yeah, we could do this. So what I can do is I can access the list here, and I can say dot class name plus equal list. Isn't it class list? Shouldn't it be class list? Whatever. Let's see if it works. Yep, it works. Basically, what I'm saying is I'm taking the list, which is the variable that I made over here, which is a UL, and I'm just adding a class name. I'm setting it equal or including like more list because an element can have more than one class, right? So yeah, it's basically looking at my CSS and searching for a class that is list, and it's applying that style, which is list style none, which removes the bullet points, right? So student registered, we're going to set this thing to bold. Where is this? So student registered, I'm going to say actually no, because then it's only one thing. It's not its own thing. I could do style.font Wait, so style is accessing the CSS. Set that to bold. Okay. And we could do I don't I don't know. I don't like it that it's in the middle. Maybe hold up. Okay, so let me reload. So Sarai, Malte, 990, I guess I am. See, I don't like that it's not aligned. That's a problem for me. So also the submit button is so big. It's like really bad. Um, first of all, let me go to the button and just decrease on the height. Or I could just get rid of the padding a little bit. Instead of that, I could do 10 pixels. There we go. Um, but then I would actually want to move the UL so the list a little bit. Let's do margin from the right 50 pixels. Yeah, that does nothing. No, I still need it to literally be like 500 pixels. I need it to move all the way to the left. Do we want that? No. What if I just give the list? At this point, I can just do border 5 pixels solid red. All right. Interesting. So that's what we're looking at. But I don't want that. What if I do no confirmation message? I could do style dot. What was I gonna do? Confirmation message style dot. Oh, width, and I can say 100%. There, and then not 500 pixels, but we could do 490. How about 400? That's so weird. Okay, you know what? How about zero margin? But then, what in the world is it? Oops. Why? Okay, how did it get there now? Because I deleted the margin. 100%. Oh, that's why. Oh, okay. So, yeah, no, that's what I wanted, right? So then what I have to do now is just say, okay, for the list, I want margin from the left to be like 30, 40 pixels. It's gonna move like that, right? Just like I wanted it to. And then student registered also needs to move 40 pixels, but that's gonna be, I guess I could do it for the whole thing. I don't know. So margin left, by the way, camel case, margin left instead of like the little dash, it's just camel case. And we'll do 40 pixels. But then it's doing the same thing. So it's adding 40 pixels more. So I'll delete this and it should be in the same spot. There we go. So do I like that? Do I not like that? Also, it's going past the whole thing. So for the card, um, I wanted to have a minimum height of the minimum content. But then is there any way to say minimum width? What's the minimum no, because then it's gonna shrink. Min with minimum. You know what? Whatever. Oh, I don't even know. Let me get rid of the border. I mean, I just hate the way it looks. It's just not centered. Sarai, London. I mean, I guess it's okay. And I just want it to be a little bit more to the ground. So I'm gonna go to the actual card and give it a gap of maybe 2 EM. No, wait, no, yeah. Yeah, that's what I want. 4. Actually, no, it's actually not what I want because then it's moving this thing up and that's not what I want. What I actually want is a confirmation message to just have a margin from the top of maybe like 50 pixels. So margin top 50 pixels so that it actually just goes down 50 pixels. Or we could do 100 or 200. But that's too much. And even then, it's still, because it's, oh, this is so annoying. Oh, I know. I just need position relative. But I don't want to do all that. You know what? I'm just going to leave it like it is. I don't care. This is actually, no, I can't leave it like that. It's so bad. Um, I genuinely cannot leave it like that. What if I do text align center? That's horrifying. Um, this is so bad. Okay, position relative, and then from the top, 500, no, 200 pixels. That way it's not going to move the form. Okay, that's what I want. But then I'm gonna have to do the same thing for students registered because it's not working out. So student registered, just gonna have to say, this is so messy. I can just fix this all if I just do a class. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say dot message and I'm just gonna put all of that stuff in there because I don't like the way that this JS is looking. So the font weight is equal to bold. Whoa, not me going crazy. Bold. The margin from the left is 40 pixels. The margin, no, the width is 100%. So we can delete all of these now and then just say, where's the class thing? If I just select confirmation message, class name, and just say message, it's going to have all those things now, right? There we go. And then I can say the same thing over here, position relative, whatnot, from the top, 70 pixels. But then in that case, oops, because the list is inside, it's going to do the same thing here. So I'm just going to delete these. So now it's going to be right there. Beautiful. Oh, finally. Okay, Sarai Mate 9. Okay. 995. That's my age. Beautiful. We're done, finally. Okay. Um, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I want it to be bigger though, or maybe I could do like an H1. Um, form H1, new student registrar. Imagine it was school registrar. How do you spell registrar? Register. New student register. Isn't that a thing like registrar? Like a you know what, never mind. All right, and then guess I'm gonna call this ID title, and I'll just give the ID, where is it? Hashtag title, I'll just do position, same thing, and that's actually instead of it being from the top, I'll just do from the bottom 75 pixels. And then we'll do font size, I don't know, 40 pixels. Interesting. We'll do 50 pixels or 40, 30. There we go. So, that's what it's looking like. Much better. And then we'll move this one. Let's see. 50 pixels, so it goes a little bit towards the top as well, maybe 40 or 30. 30. So if I do Sarai, let's say Mante, let's say I'm one, phone number, no. Okay. Um, sure. Sure, that works. Um, is there anything else I want to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to do like a grade thing so that depending on the age of the student, I would like know which grade they are in. But that's gonna be something for another day because yeah. So let me get rid of the red border here. And then there we go. That is it for today. Bye. Actually, it's not. Hold up. We completely forgot about responsiveness. This is what it looks like on the phone, and that's completely unacceptable. So, for this, I go to CSS and I do a media query, which I like to think of it as literally the same exact HTML, but with a different height and width for the screen. It's like you rewriting your HTML, or at least fixing a little bit of things, but for a different screen size. I'm gonna say only screen and max width 600 pixels. So when the screen size is 600 pixels, I want the following to happen. First of all, I want the card to have a width of 80%. Let's see what that does. So nothing's going to change in desktop, just like phone view. So that happens, and then we'll have height 100%. Yuck. 50%. But then that happens, and that's horrifying. Let's see. I did have this problem a few days ago. What did I do to fix it? Oh, okay. Well, before that, the key to responsiveness is this meta tag called the name tag. So name viewport. So it's about the viewport and the contents of the viewport. The width needs to be equal to the device width. So it's basically saying um give me 1 second. Okay. It's basically saying about the viewport, which is the screen. It's another, I like to think of it as another way to say the screen. The width of that viewport needs to be equal to the width of the device that you're using, and then initial scale 1.0, right? So then, woo, that just allows for you not to see the desktop version, but you won't see it on this. What is this thing even called? Whoa, okay. What just happened? You won't see it on this, what do you call it? Chrome extension. But if you open it on your phone and you don't have that, then you'll see the desktop version either way. Okay, so then other than that, um, let's see. Let me zero out any margin and padding. Actually, I could do. Actually, that would be horrible. Yeah, no. Um, actually, would that be Actually, I don't even know anymore. We could do margin 0, padding 0. Let's see what that gives me. Still horrible. So weird. Okay, you know what? Let's just do font size 20 pixels. Oh my god. Okay. Title font size 20 pixels. What is going on? And the car needs to have a height of its minimum content. Beautiful. There we go. So it needs to have the height of the minimum content. Like the minimum content height is should be the height, the minimum height at least of the card. Hello. And then new student register, the reason why it's all the way up is because of the positioning. So I'm going to say from the bottom, let's say 0. Just making a little bit of changes. Right. And then the card itself, I believe, should have some padding of like, I don't know, 20 pixels. So there's space. Beautiful. And then even then, it should still, I should then look for the confirmation message and say, okay, dot message, and I'm gonna say from the top 20 pixels. So it goes, it decreases a little bit there. Actually, how about we just do 0? Because it's looking like there's no need for that. There we go. So that's the idea. And let's try it out here. Okay, that's okay. It doesn't really matter. The title though would have a font size of 25 pixels maybe. That would make things a little better. Um, and then when I click on the button, I don't want the user to, let's do touch action manipulation. I don't want it to, I don't want the screen to zoom in. So manipulation. And then I also don't want anything to be selected. So user select none. I mean, unless I could have, um, actually, I'll leave this for the button because I just don't want to be able to select. You see how it turns blue? Oh, hold up, let me say this again. Reload. So if I click on it, you'll see that it turns blue, and I don't want that to happen. For the button, so I'll just go to the button, and I'll say user select none, so the user's not able to select it. See, so now I can't select it, but I could select these. So that's fine. But yeah, I think we're done now. See, okay, yeah, we are. All right, that's it for today. I'm going to go now. Bye.